BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this program about your Kundalini awakening experiences. My name is Chrism, and I am your host, and we'll be joined by my co-host later on. So I'd like to just dive right in at the beginning. But before I do, I would like to ask anybody in the chat room to make sure that the sound is coming through to the chat room. So Matthew or Manisha or Lana Seeker, anybody who has the ability to hear me there in the chat room, please give me a little bit of typing to let me know that the sound quality is good. Thank you. And I will go ahead and begin this. Looks like, okay, sound is good. Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome. So quite often people who are coming into the Kundalini or being guided into the Kundalini are being guided by their innermost Shakti presence and awareness, the sacred feminine that, as those who may have listened to the show understand, resides within the last three vertebrae of the tailbone, the coccygeal region of the skeletal system, the vestigial tail that the scientists say we have, but we no longer have use for, except, of course, to house the most powerful energy in the known or unknown multiverse. But aside from that, it's just there. So, many people, that are coming into the Kundalini, they go through a lot of searching. There's a lot of searching that goes on. You get into, various divinatory practices like tarot or the Viking runes or tea leaves. Some people maybe still do the chicken guts, the old chicken gut readings, and various levels of reaching out there to find out what's going on in here, inside of us. And as we immerse ourselves further and further into the Kundalini, we find out that it's more important to query the inside first about what's going on in the inside, rather than reaching outside of ourselves with, these channelers or these mediums or these, whatever they would, shamans. Some of these shamans, couch themselves that way. And some others just, kind of get it into the general public mindset that they have a very specific power that allows them to look into you and tell you everything you need to know. And it's a very addicting type of thing. It's something that a person with no answers whatsoever would readily, adapt to, especially if the information coming through is really pleasant and pleasing to the ego, and maybe goes into past lives. Like, yes, in a past life, you were the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and in this life, you carry such great, whatever. And so it's just kind of, nobody was a ditch digger in their past life, right? You always have to be someone great. Once again, just basically stroking the ego as we look for the various ways that we can glean information about what's happening to us within a Kundalini context. And, that is not always the easiest thing. And I'll thank you, Santara, to look at all the new callers that are calling in, and if we can get names and agendas there with them, I'd appreciate it. So as we're flitting around from system to system, modality to modality, the sun gazers, people kind of make the logical leap, even though it's not logical. They make the leap thinking that, wow, if I gaze at the sun and I partake of this modality, this will have the equivalent of activating my Kundalini, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Consuming the sun with your eyes may not be the healthiest approach, but I understand that that there are very specific times and ways and lengths of time that a person stares at it. So hopefully everything goes well with people's eyesight in the long run. And then we have the breatharians. Now the breatharian, Yahoo News and various news outlets have put out there's this couple out there that have a baby or a child, and they've been breatharians for 17 years or some such thing. And people go, oh my God, that is the way. Not only do I lose weight, but I can just consume light and everything is good. And it's no going to the bathroom, no, none of this messy stuff that we all don't want to do. And well, that's not the most healthiest attitude either for the Kundalini. And then some of us will dive into various dietary practices, veganism, which I don't recommend, vegetarianism, which I do recommend sometimes, or omnivorism, which I recommend most, with regards to the Kundalini, because it gives the Shakti within you the most choice in what she wants to do with you rather than what your ego wants you to do with you, or whatever level of programming that you immerse yourself in wants you to do. And then we also have, the people that are living off of music or dance or, these types of things. And if I can dance my way into enlightenment, and I'm not speaking specifically to you, Manisha, who is in the chat room right now. I'm speaking to people that really go overboard with this, and it becomes all about the dance, becomes all about movement, all about specific music to dance to and whatnot. And a lot of that is tied up because they've had some level of phenomena based upon whatever modality they're choosing. Once you understand that you're going into the Kundalini, there should be no other modality. There should be no other system. Everything from that point forward is to be a nourishment to the Kundalini within you. There is no higher source, no higher modality than the divine within you. The divine within you is the most important thing in your life and in the other lives that are going to be lived. You see, we have a whole series of lifetimes where we deal with the physical mundane. We learn to evolve from brutish types of people to perhaps more understanding types of people, more helpful types of people, and so on and so forth, through the noble qualities into the grace. And then once we get the grace of Kundalini, then we have a series of lives to live while we have physical semi-divinity. And I know the science among you, the scientist among you, or even within you, is kind of going, oh boy, he said that D word, divinity. He had to ruin it with that word. So far, I could follow along with it, but now he said that word. He brought God into the picture. Oh my gosh. Well, the divine is part of the picture. Matter of fact, the divine is the one who paints the picture. You just dance to the numbers where the divine puts the colors, basically. But in that dance, not to overuse that analogy for the dancers that I just mentioned, within that dance is a 10,000 lifetimes of variated experience and lessons and learnings and evolution of a spiritual nature. It's a vast classroom that you're in right now with the Kundalini. And so it's very important for people to understand that once you have the understanding that you may be having symptoms of Kundalini, or you're having dreams. I was reading on the group today, one of the groups, that a woman had a dream where a golden snake bit into the side of her and then just kind of melted into her. Well, that's a very, very classical invitation into the Kundalini. And the same can be done with a spider or with a wolf or a praying mantis or a bee or a wasp. You get stung by the golden bee type of thing. And once you understand, and she drives you to get a certain level of understanding that, oh, This is the Kundalini that I am nourishing, that I am engaging. All other modalities must stop. I run into this so much. People get addicted to the modality that brought them to the Kundalini rather than shifting from the modality that brought them there into the Kundalini modality itself. Not everybody. A person who has it come up without any knowledge or just serendipitously, the Kundalini comes up and boom, they're in it. Well, that's the only modality they know, and that's typically what they go for, unless they start searching for answers outside and outside of themselves, and then they can get led astray into other areas, other modalities that aren't necessarily complementary to what is happening to the inner person of that equation. And so I just really want to state that in this program today. Once you're in the Kundalini, it's all about the Kundalini. It's not about drugs. It's not about the sacred herb. It's not about alcohol. It's not about tarot. It's not about haruspication or augury. It's not about whether you're in a restrictive dietary program that has a great big community behind it saying, hey man, this really works. It's not about having a specific religious system that says, hey, this is the only way to God, because they all say that. It's all about the divine inner force that you now have come in contact with. Shakti doesn't require tarot reading to know what she wants to do with you. You do not require a tarot reading or a mediumship or somebody channeling the Virgin Mary or whoever. And you do not need a reading by these people in order for Shakti to know what she wants to do with you, or for you to know what the Shakti wants to do with you. You just have to trust, and if you can find a modality that really, really accentuates just the Kundalini in you, not so much the guru or the teacher, not so much that guy or gal, but the Kundalini within you. Now, I offer a modality called the safety protocols, and this is the one that I will suggest everybody does, whether they've got the Kundalini or whether they want the Kundalini, because it's just about the Kundalini and the various ways and techniques that we can use in order to nourish an already active or awakened Kundalini or initiate an activation into the Kundalini. And so this, I'm saying don't follow any of these things, then I offer you up ones. But at least it's about the Kundalini. It's just about the Kundalini. You're not trying to figure out what a major arcana tarot card means. You're not having to figure out some weird Jedi type speech that some channeler, channeling George Lucas is trying to say, or the forces that feed George Lucas his ideas, because I think he's still living. It's important for people to give the Shakti Kundalini, the Shiva Kundalini, their full attention. You don't continuously ride the tricycle when you have been gifted into the motorcycle or the automobile. You're not there, tricycling away down the street because you don't want to give up that modality of transportation because, hey, it got you from point A to point B when you were a kid, so it must be good for you now, right? No, it's not. We have to evolve into these other procedures, these other modalities that allow us to have greater depth of vision within ourselves, greater depth of understanding within what the Kundalini agenda is for us. So much of the time, people come to me and they want to, they say, oh, Chrism, I'd like to be your student. I'd like to work with you on the Kundalini and in these ways, and I can see that there's a level of activation in them. And I tentatively say, okay, all right, let's give it a shot. And then, they're off to some breatharian seminar, or they're off to some, musical seminar. They're off to some other place because maybe it's a free of charge thing, or maybe it's a, some other spiritual type retreat that they just have found so much fun with and happiness with and, camaraderie with, and it's just not working with the Kundalini. Sometimes we need to give up the camaraderie or the social implications of so many different seminars, so many different spiritual platforms, and really tune in to the Shakti within, not the voice of the ego that would love to disguise itself as the voice of Shakti so that you can go to that chocolate candy bar seminar that promises there's enlightenment inside this bar of chocolate. I swear to God, it's you take one bite, you're there. That's what I heard happen to people in Ireland a while back. It was that bite of chocolate, and that's all it was. That's the whole thing. I better introduce her now that I said that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and a great enjoyment to introduce my co-host for this program, who is also the person who brought this program into being. And here she is, Santara Kundalini. Hello, Santara.
Hi, Chrism. How are you?
Good. How was that chocolate?
I was just about to say, munching my chocolate bar, but anyway. Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here.
Well, now, are you down in Kerry, or are you up there along that coastline, Youghal or you all?
Y'all. Yeah, I'm in Youghal, which is spelled Youghal. So not W, not Y-A. Yeah, no, Youghal. But anyway, yeah, that's where I am, looking out on the ocean, on the sea. It is currently 20 minutes past 11 p.m. here. Right.
Okay, so it's late. I understand. Well, let's go ahead and move right on into this. Now, thank you for, we don't have anybody questioning, right? These callers are just listening. Is that what the deal is?
Not right now, but I'll be looking for question marks and things like that as we go along.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so did you run into any different modalities as you were coming into Grace, Santara? Did you have specific outside to inside type of interests that you did? Yeah.
I did. I suppose one of the bigger ones. Well, first of all, I was within an activation Chrism for many years, and I had no clue. So I was a person that was unwell, or thought I was unwell. So I was seeking to be well. So I would have read every self-help book that you can mention. So I would have gone through my period of Louise Hay. But one of the outside to in modalities would have been crystals. I spent quite a period of time with crystals. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked crystals too, but I didn't. I guess I didn't overdo it. I liked the way the quartz. Just for me, it was a quartz crystal that I liked. And then I read that when shamans go into their other worlds, the three worlds that shamans will visit, the only thing that remains the same when they're traveling is the quartz crystal. And so they always have a favorite quartz crystal that they use when they're traveling. And I can kind of feel that resonance with some of the mineral intelligences. Yeah, crystals would have been something, but I never used it as a modality for enlightenment. I think most of the time at this time in my life, they were used as a healing vector, a source of healing, to put them in a certain design type of thing.
Oh, yeah, for enlightenment, not for me either, for healing. I never really looked for enlightenment, so Chrism, I mean, in a way of, what can I wasn't seeking it in a conscious way. But I
Well,
would have
you never really get to do that until you have that spinal sweep, and when you're in that union, once you're in the union and you have that union imprinted on your soul, that's when the word enlightenment becomes a very real thing. But leading up to it, it's not so real because you don't know, you don't have that reference point.
No, you're seeking something. I mean, for me, I was seeking truth, or I was seeking. I suppose I always wanted to know the truth of why I was here, and the truth about God, about our Creator. That would have been something I was always seeking.
Well, yeah, and so how were you able to give up these modalities? What happened to you in that regard?
Well, I suppose I never took any of them on board to an extreme. Even the crystals, I would have used the quartz crystal and various crystals for specific things, but well, after a while they just wore off. It just wore off. I began to realize it always came back to myself. And yeah, so I would have just put them to the side, I would also have been involved with Reiki, for a little while until I dropped that like a hot potato when I realized that, and this was way before, I would have heard you talk about it as well, Chrism, when I realized about the entities and came into contact with them, So that was another modality I did for a little while,
that's
not
more of a
something I'd
spiritual.
recommend.
The Reiki is more of a spiritual infection couched as a healing modality. It's weird. It's like stabbing yourself. It's like stabbing yourself with an infected needle, and then putting that infected needle into a person who's ill.
Yeah. It absolutely is, because when I was doing it, it was interesting how I came to do it. So I'll just take a moment. I didn't remember now. I knew nothing about Kundalini, and my daughter was born in 2002, and I used to do a lot. She has a disability. She has Down syndrome, and she had a lot of difficulty when she was a baby. And I used to, give her massage, place my hands on her small little body, and I noticed that there was an energy coming from my hands, and that there used to be a peacefulness, and it used to really assist and help her, which was a motherly thing. I would have thought it was part of me being her mother. And then one day a friend came to me and she said, I've just done a Reiki course, and she said to me about energy and her hands and all of this, and I said, but I have got that and I haven't done this course. And she told me all about it, and off I went. And really, so many times I think people are, well, I certainly was, fooled. I mean, what was going on for me was within me. And yet off I went to this outside thing and allowed myself to receive this, or opened myself up really to receiving, what's it called, an attunement. And I didn't do anything with it for a while, and when you get the second attunement and you get all these symbols and stuff like that, it was then that I began to notice the how when you would open yourself up to that there was definitely a presence and presences around the place. And it was at one particular meeting where all the students, or all the Reiki, we weren't masters yet, we'd only done 2 weekends. But anyway, when we all met together, that I became very aware of how much entity, I wouldn't have used that term at the time, but how much yuckiness that was real, that was hanging around people, and I felt it coming towards me. And I felt when I opened myself to it, they were wanting to come into my space. So it's a really, I'm going to use the word dangerous thing to do, because if you continue on the path, you then go forward and you start healing, Reiki healing people. And the entities can bypass the healer, the Reiki person. They can just bypass the Reiki person and go straight into the client or the patient. And so the Reiki person might never know what they're actually facilitating. And I know that that's true.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. In many ways, their ignorance is somebody else's disease. And yet, there's a level of wanting to help the other person that speaks of an innocence, the innocence of, it's like a child trying to drive a car and they don't realize that they're hitting people on the sidewalk. They can't see the windshield.
Yeah, well, that could have been me, Chrism, it really could have been me had I not had the experience, or actually knowing now that Kundalini allowed me to be aware of that occurring, of how the entities work through the Reiki that is given to people out of a place of wanting to be of service, but people get caught up on the whole thing, and it's a tragedy. It really is.
And they just don't do enough work on themselves. It's always an outside force coming in, and it's they're not even conceptualizing an inner force of grace moving through them into the person. It's always got to be some outside thing. And typically, when this plane of existence interconnects or intermingles with the lower astral, well, you're going to get a lot of these lower astral entities, doing their best to continue the damage or the disease that a person is already under the influence of. And it is a sad thing. And yet they're, some of these Reiki people are rabid about how effective it is, and, and how it's such a good thing, it's grace, and, they don't realize that maybe it's the person's inner divine or immune system itself that, created the healing. But on the other hand, I know some of the people that have had a Reiki treatment and they activated their Kundalini through the Reiki treatment too. And so I can't go on the record saying, oh, it's all bad, stay away from it. What I can go on the record is saying is most of it is. Some of it isn't.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough,
Yeah. I won't go into percentages.
Yeah.
But it's not, you can't categorically state, in an absolutism type way that all Reiki is bad. Yeah. That's just not true.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I agree. Yeah.
How much did your religious upbringing bring in? Because your religious training was also an outside-in concept too, wasn't it?
Well, that's really interesting, Chrism, because of course it was. I had a very, I suppose you would say, strong religious upbringing. I was brought up as a Catholic, Christian Catholic, and I had, when I was a child, of course, that was a huge part of my life. And when I was younger, I certainly had a connection with God that was very real and vibrant, and it was amazing really when I look back on it. But as I got a little bit older, and I'm not talking much older, 7, 8, 9, 10, as I got older, that all began to change, And the thing about it is, Chrism, there was an awful lot of my religious upbringing that really affected me. I would have been left with, love your neighbor as yourself. Do good to those who hate you, and, do unto others as you would want to be done unto yourself. They would be the three things I think that I would have got from my religion. The dogma and stuff like that I got, interestingly enough, that was also helpful, because in my rejection of it or in my questioning of it, that is what allowed me to dig deep into myself, and to, to kind of connect in in with God. And I mean, one of the things that I would have been taught is seek ye the kingdom of God within, and that sort of thing. I was always aware of that as well growing up. But the dogma and stuff like that, well, that's another story. And I know that religion, like I always had a relationship with God and with Jesus Christ. I didn't have one with the religious sort of stuff, So I wouldn't throw it all out at all. It had a huge influence on my life, and I mean, it still does, And I had only a conversation with somebody recently, and they were talking about actually devotion and devotion to the teacher. And I'm trying to synopsize the conversation now and how it went. But what I was basically saying was, if you're observing a Catholic and you're not a Catholic particularly, this would be the case. You might see a Catholic in front of a statue, for example, in devotion or praying. And the concept is, usually people think, oh, look at them, they're worshipping the statue or that sort of thing. Whereas in actual fact, the Catholic typically knows that they're not, that the statue is a symbol that they're worshipping, God, that it's not about the statue. So where was I going with this? It's gone out of my head. Yeah. No, this was yes. It was about how, even that aspect has assisted me in so many ways, because I believe that we have a direct line to God that is within us, even when we are assisted by a flesh teacher, by the actions of devotion and the divine within things that other people see as weird. So for me to be in devotion with my teacher, it's not weird at all, because it's the divinity and God that I see within my teacher, that I am worshipping or that I am connecting with, and that is the same God and Kundalini that is within myself. And so I feel, Kundalini is God. Somebody says, and tell me I'm wrong, but like somebody was saying, I can't pray to Kundalini, I can only pray to God. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what's the difference,
Yeah, a rose by any other name still smells as sweet. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a foreign word to a lot of people. You can, speaking of Catholicism, if you read Philip St. Romain's book, Buddhism and Christianity, I think that's what Kundalini and Christianity is what the title of the book is. And this guy was a extremely devout Catholic. He would go to church 6 days a week, with intense levels of prayer and contemplation and things of that nature. And he activated his Kundalini that way. And it took him a very, very, very long time to begin to connect the dots that the Kundalini is actually the divine. Kundalini is Christ, it's Mary, it's Yahweh, it's Zoroastrian, it's Krishna, it's Buddha, it's all of these things wrapped up. It is the divine, and the divine just comes through to the earth populations in different modalities, or different expressions, I should say, of religious information, and allows the people to develop along the lines of those specific religions, Christianity being one, and all the other ones too. But when you are able to evolve away from the modality or the system of, say, Christianity in your case and other religions in other people's cases, that gets left behind. And one dives fully and completely straight into the arms of the divine, which is a very, very tactile force. It really affects you. It affects you in a very interesting way. I see Matthew Collins is in is in the chat room. And Matthew, I'm going to encourage you to give us a call if you're feeling comfortable about talking a little bit about your experience. The number is 347-934-0026. And I've known Matthew, for a few years, and it's been a very, very, very interesting experience for him. And it really is. It's a very Kundalini type of story, but it's particular to his scenario. Once you're in the Kundalini, then everything else is left behind. And as the Kundalini becomes stronger and stronger and stronger within you, you become stronger and stronger within it. And it begins to give you intuitions. It begins to give you instructions. It begins to give you leanings towards specific experience and specific practice that allow you to flourish in this environment. And if you can go ahead and check that caller right there, Rosemary, Amelia, if you would.
I will.
And I'm using Matthew as an example because Matthew, I'll let him tell his story, but he came from a very, very specific modality, and out of the blue, the Kundalini comes and changes his life in extreme ways. And he goes through all of the different aspects of early Kundalini activation and how that continues upward and outward into the expression of the physical body and all of these things. And so it's a very interesting story because even though the person may fight it, their ego may fight it tooth and nail. And that ego is always going to lose unless you've got some sort of karmic impediment that allows the ego to win, just to teach you a lesson that the ego should not have won there. You should not have let that occur. And so, and I'm going to go back to Santara. Is that Matthew?
Hi, Chrism. Yeah, I have his name down there. If you see
All right,
it below, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, everybody,
Okay.
This is Matthew, and hello, Matt.
Hello.
I'd like to say congratulations for making it through Irma and Jose, I guess.
Yes, we made it through Irma. We evacuated to Tallahassee from Jacksonville Beach.
Okay,
So
now
we left
I need you to get your mouth right up to that telephone receiver because you're very, very faint.
Yes, I'm walking outside. Is that better?
Okay, all right. Just kind of keep it close to your mouth there. Now, I hope you don't mind me bringing you up into this conversation, first of all.
No, this is great.
Okay, so can you kind of describe to the audience where you were at when you and I first met?
I was living with my mother in Brevard County, Florida, and I was searching the internet for various types of symptoms. At that time, I was having buzzing in my feet. It felt like the bottom of my feet, all over my feet, really were being surrounded by bees. The way bees buzz and vibrate, it felt like I had bees on my feet, and that tingling feeling was starting to come up my legs, and I was feeling out of sorts. I had left my wife, moved in with my mom, I quit my jobs, and I was just living there, and I was very out of sorts at that time.
What was your background up to that point?
My background was I was an academic, still am an academic person.
Oh, wait a minute.
PhD
I'm
from
losing.
Virginia Tech.
I'm losing
All right,
this.
can you hear me? Yeah. My background was I was an academic person. I was a college professor, and I had a PhD from Virginia Tech, still do, and I'm still working in academia.
Weren't you in the military?
When I was younger, yes. When I was 18.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Matthew, the line is a little bit hazy, so if it's okay, would you slow your speech down just a little bit? Would you mind?
Sure. I'm trying to speak loudly and clearly.
Now, yeah, I know it's not easy, but if you slow it down, I think we'll catch each word, if you can.
I will make an effort
thanks.
in that direction, Santara.
So you were in the military?
I was when I was younger. I was in the Navy when I was much younger in my teenage years.
Okay, that didn't come through.
Hey, Chrism.
Do you have a landline? Do you have a landline
Yeah, I'm going to
opportunity?
call you back from another phone. I'm going to go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to switch phones
All
and
right.
call you back. Okay, bye.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you, Matt. And I'm going to go ahead and answer Indra's question here. And hello, Indra. You have a question?
Hi, Chrism.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I was listening to the show. I couldn't really talk earlier, but I was listening. And for me, I did not like the church because when I was 16, I felt a snake crawling inside of me, and I arranged an exorcism, and they pretty much told me I was demonized. So I turned away from the church. Didn't really like it.
What else would you expect them to say? You know, they got to get their donations one way or the other.
Of course. And I was like, 16, I was confused. I really believed I was demonized because, it felt like a snake. And
yeah, I had that experience too. I know what that's like.
Yeah. So, I really did not. I turned away from the church, but loved Jesus. And what happened to me though was I had conversations. When I look back, I had a lot of conversations with something. And I remember when my son
Santara,
turned.
can you go down and get that call?
Pardon me?
Santara, can you go down and get that call, please? Go ahead, Indra.
Yeah, so when my son turned 6, I remember a conversation I had. And I was so busy, I really didn't have time to pray, but I remember touching my heart. And I touched my heart and I said, that space is always for you. I know I'm busy, but I'll get back to you. I remember that conversation clear. And my son was 6, so it was his birthday party, and I got really, really busy. So when I look back, I sort of had conversations like that.
Okay, all right. Now,
yeah, I didn't have a practice. I did not have a spiritual practice. I was into gemstones, and that's as far as it goes.
Well, now, what's your question, Indra?
My question is, with the third eye opening, I feel really good. So my energy is flowing like a chocolate fountain, but energy and light. I feel amazing. I feel great, Chrism. This is the thing. I feel guilt. I feel guilt. I've been dealing with guilt for the last little while. I'm feeling guilt for feeling this good.
Oh, well, don't do that. Just be grateful to the divine for her allowing you to feel this way. To feel guilt within this type of an experience is kind of a contradiction to what is being offered to you. It's like somebody offering you $1 million and you just like pushing their hand away and saying, no, I'd rather feel guilty.
Yes.
So don't do that. Don't do
All
that.
right. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best.
Here's the thing. As you continue to feel really, really good and have these really good vibes, as you go out into the environment, you spread that good vibe. You spread those positive feelings. So do not feel guilty about it. Just really embrace it.
Okay. Okay, well, so, one quick question again. Another one. So with the pineal gland, does the pineal work with the crown chakra? I don't know. I just wanted, I'm curious because that area feels like a Jewish hat. I forgot the word for it.
Yeah, a yarmulke, I believe is what it is. But everything works in conjunction with the Kundalini now. I mean, you reach a certain stage and it's really not it's not separatable. You don't get to separate it now. You don't get to separate the crown chakra from the left big toe, vice versa. I mean, it's all working with the Kundalini, and it's so in a sense, there's more of a oneness that is occurring with the individual at that time. With the pineal gland is one of those areas that gets lit up. It's one of the targets for the Kundalini energy to come in and to light that area up. And so you'll get some third eye activity maybe. And at other times, you'll just get a lot of light shows behind closed eyes in a dark room.
It's like right at the back of my eyes, my physical eyes.
Right.
Like it's at the back. Is that okay? Is that normal?
Yeah, it's fine. It's normal for you. Not everybody's going to have the exact same thing. So if you're looking for normal, you're never going to find it. But you're going to find similarities. And
right.
And as I look at you, I can see yours is just fine. Yours is good.
Okay. So do you think I'm going to hit balance soon? I want balance. I crave it.
Well then, don't go into guilt over what she's giving you. Once you start going into guilt,
because you know what, I am programmed. The way I'm programmed to feel guilt. Yes, the Kundalini worked with me a lot on that, and I'm trying my best not to. And go ahead.
I said, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm just in and out. Like sometimes I go into the guilt and go, why me, why me, why me?
You might just want to step out of that programming completely.
Say that again?
Step out of your previous programming completely.
Okay.
Make it a definitive choice and decision that you're making.
Okay.
No going back.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, Indira. It is so very good to hear you. Thank you for calling in, my dear.
Always a pleasure to hear your voice. And I'll continue listening.
Thank you. Very good. Very good.
Okay.
Put you into the Shiva Blue here, and I believe this is Matthew over here. And let's try a little sound check there, Matt.
We have a better connection now, I hope.
Oh, yeah, that is much better, much better, much better. So the earliest that I know that I can remember of you is you had been in the military and they were doing certain things to you, which I'll let you explain.
Well, I was in the military and then I went to college after that. And at that time, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That's what they diagnosed me as having at that time. I went into the medical doctor's office, to the psychiatrist's office, and explained I have a tingling feeling in my feet, and I feel like energy is rushing through my body, and it seems to be out of control, and I don't feel well. That was my description. I remember running quite a bit at that time in my life. In my early 20s, I was running sometimes 7-8 miles a night, and I used to say to myself, I have to run to move the energy through my body. So after visiting the medical doctors with the military, and then again with the college experience with the same type of doctors, they put me on a series of medications, and I began taking those at around 24 years old, and I stopped around the age of 40. During the time that I took the medication from 24 to 40, I do not believe that I was experiencing the same Kundalini symptoms, because I don't really remember feeling that past the time of my early 20s when I first went to the doctor. And when I came off them, somewhere around the age of 40, I decided that I'm not doing the medical route for this. I don't believe I have bipolar disorder, because I have asked medical doctors over and over again, why isn't this seemingly to work for me? Why is this not seeming to work? Those types of questions. I never felt like the medicine was working, and I always felt like I was in a fog, but I just kept thinking to myself back then that I needed to listen to these people because they were the experts. They were the medical doctors. At some point, I said, I don't want to listen to the experts anymore around the age of 40, and I'm 45 now next month. And around the age of 40, when I just threw the medicines in the toilet that day and then flushed them, I remember feeling very different the next day, and it wasn't very much longer after that the feeling of the energy in the feet and coming up the legs started. At that time, I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to get along with people very well. I'm doing much better with that now. My career is back on track and everything's going great, but at that time, I was not able to really socialize very well, so I moved back in with my parents and basically just lived with my mom there for about a year and a half. And she was gracious enough and kind enough. Chrism met her, and he can attest to this, that she's a wonderful person, and she was able to see me through that, and she was very helpful during that time. And during that time, I experienced the energies coming through my legs, and I had a lot of knots in my back as the energy would reach certain spots in my back, sometimes golf ball-sized knots, and I had a lot of issues. I spent a lot of time rolling my back on the floor with a massage roller that I bought that helped to somehow relieve the pain and to reduce the knots.
Did you go into different modalities, Matt? Did you look outside yourself? Or
here's the thing. I wasn't really a spiritual person. I was not a spiritual seeker. By the age of 40, like I said, I had a business and I was a college professor and I had a wife and a family, and I was the type of person before the Kundalini experience that really was interested in the NFL and mundane things, television things. I never gave any thought to spirituality, never gave one thought to God or Heavenly Father or to Kundalini or any of those things. I would have said that people who are interested in those things were very odd and weird. That was my thought about them back then. And then I became very interested in those things by necessity, I believe.
All right. I like your activation simply because it had nothing to do with a god or a goddess or
nothing
worshiping crystals or
nothing
unicorns
I thought all
or anything
those things
like
were
that.
Odd. And I still think the crystal thing is a little odd. I'm not interested in a lot of the same esoteric or metaphysical things that many of my peers are. I'm more interested in the Kundalini, obviously, but it continued, the knots in the back. And then one day I was driving. I had a vehicle at that time. About a year and a half into it, my mom was able to help me get a truck. So I'm driving, and this Katy Perry song came on the radio. It was E.T., if anyone's ever heard of that song. And it has a beeping sound in the background that just beeps throughout the entire song if you listen very closely. And that beeping sound sounded like deet, 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 deet. And when that song was on the radio that day, I felt this pressure on my forehead, like someone was tapping there with their finger. And I pulled over, and it was as if I was in the Star Wars scene where the Millennium Falcon goes into light speed, and you see the stars just going by you so fast. It looks like many lights just whizzing by you. And after that point, I had a black dot in my vision, and then a lot of other issues with the vision things that Chrism helped me with at that time. But after that day, May 13th of 2013, I believe it was, I felt a lot better once the energy was able to get beyond the neck area and come around the back of the head. So I felt a lot better, and I haven't experienced a lot of the same issues that I had before that point, and I feel like my life is going much better. But I've changed quite a bit. When I say I've changed quite a bit, I saw family members during Hurricane Irma just this last week that had not seen me in quite a while, many years, and I believe they think I'm a different person now. So it's an interesting thing, but all for the better. The comments were that I was
I remember you back in 2012. I think is when we last met.
Yes, in the beginning.
You were driving that pickup truck with a black interior, and we went out. We did all the wrong things as far as going into the ocean. We went into the ocean with a few other people at the hour of the hunt.
Yes.
And I remember doing that and just kind of like trusting my Shakti, going, okay, there's no food here, okay?
Remember you were saying, you were teaching the apex predator lesson at that point. Yeah. Remember that?
Exactly. Well, Matt, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to hear you and that you survived Irma as well as your family members. And
yes.
And congratulations with the new scenario that you're living in, and the new people that you've joined up with. And I may knock the veganism, but as long as it's supported by the Shakti, well, then I'm okay with it too.
I feel great, Chrism. I feel wonderful.
Such a lifestyle. Yeah. There is one thing that you wrote about earlier today regarding some of the psoriasis issues that some people can get, and they can get that with the Kundalini. And I do feel that it was your Shakti, your Kundalini, that gave you the out of the blue instruction to go look up agitation.
That's exactly what happened. I suffered from psoriasis for about 2 years, and I kept going to great medical doctors at the Mayo Clinic here in Jacksonville, we're talking high-level dermatologists, and they gave me every salve, cream, and lotion you can think of to heal psoriasis, plus antibiotics and lots of other pills with horrible side effects. None of those things worked. And somewhere about 2 weeks ago, out of the blue, it just hit me. I said, I need to see what Edgar Cayce provided to be a remedy for psoriasis and what he would recommend. So I looked it up, and he included saffron tea and slippery elm bark tea because he believed that psoriasis was a leaky gut syndrome, and he also advocated for the elimination of nightshade plants from your diet, such as tomatoes and eggplant. So I eliminated tomatoes, and I started the tea, and within about a week and a half, no less than 2 weeks, my leg had completely cleared up, and I'd had psoriasis on it for 2 years, and the medical treatments did nothing. But it was just amazing to me. By altering my diet in a very simple way, by eliminating tomatoes and taking that saffron tea to heal the gut, that it cleared up. And I just wanted to talk about that. I really felt that.
If anybody is listening right now and you have that psoriasis, will you take out those nightshade plants, like you said, the tomatoes, the eggplants, and a few others? You take out those nightshades and you give yourself some saffron tea and some slippery elm tea to heal that leaky gut, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I wanted to bring that up because that has the capacity to help a lot of people.
I was really suffering with psoriasis. For anyone else that's out there that's suffering, I had big, I call them lesions on my leg, big angry red spots. I mean,
they
I laugh
look
about
like
it,
that.
but they were really
totally look like
they
that.
were really angry, and it's just amazing to me. But I'm just so happy now that I finally just was able to figure out what was going on, and then I just followed those simple suggestions. And I'm wondering how many other areas of my life am I not following simple suggestions that I could be in terms of the Kundalini.
Well,
I need to learn to
there's
listen.
There's more for you
better.
to go. There's more for you to learn, Matt. There's more for her to do with you. And so I will suggest that you don't get too comfortable with any of the current lifestyle activities that you're involved with, and just leave yourself open for her guidance within you. She's done pretty well so far.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And I just want to say,
on the radio.
It's really a pleasure to feel your energy, to hear it, taste it. It's really good. It's good, and you just keep going, guys. You're going with all thrusters now.
I feel your energy coming through the speakers of my computer when you're talking. It's as if you're here in the room with me. It's palpable. I can feel my skin just dancing with little, like tiny little fingers just touching my arms, especially the ones that are closest to the speakers. So it's really palpable.
Well, Matt, it's a pleasure to communicate with you, and look forward to reading. You might want to post that on the Kunalini healing group that I put you on today about the psoriasis.
Okay. Sure.
There's a few
I'll do
people
that
on there
tonight.
that could be really helpful. Yeah. And thank you, Matt. Thank you for allowing us to interview and giving us a snapshot of your equation. And, it sounds really good. It feels really good.
I'm very happy. I mean, this is probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. And back in 2012, when all this began, I was terrified. I was scared. I was dealing with lots of things. I was sending you pictures of things that I was taking photos of, and you said, don't take pictures of those things. It encourages them. I was in a very different place, but today I'm in a place where I feel very happy. I just feel very happy. It's a good feeling.
Well, you've earned it, my friend. You've made a lot of the right choices that got you there.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the work you've done.
Nicely done.
And all the help you provided me. Awesome.
Put you in the Shiva blue, and thank you, everybody. That is Matt Collins, and he survived Irma. And he's also survived the earlier aspects of Kundalini activation. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is no small thing. That's like an internal hurricane about 1,000 times the size of Irma. Think about that. Okay, and so let's see. It's about that time for questions. And so I'm going to turn it over to Santara. And Santara, are there any questions for people that you'd like to ask?
Yes, there are questions, Chrism, and I just want to say thank you to Matthew as well for that information about psoriasis. Very helpful, and I'm bringing it directly to my daughter tomorrow. So, and I can feel your happiness. It's quite wonderful. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah. He's come a long way across a very, very difficult, harsh steep landscape, and he deserves the happiness that he's feeling right now. Let me tell you.
So, okay. So the questions are: there is one question, just one question, today, Chrism, into my inbox, and that is, how many days of sacred fuel? I will begin again. How many days of sacred fluid preservation or retention is required for a person to move it to the crown?
Well, first of all, you don't move the sacred fluid anywhere. Are you playing music behind your microphone there?
No, I'm not. It's in your end. It has
it's
to
probably
be.
my end. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't move the sacred fluid anywhere. You leave a reservoir of sacred fluid in the reproductive regions, and the Shakti comes and takes what she wants, and she's the one that disseminates it throughout the body, not the conscious ego. The ego doesn't know what to do. This goes back to some of these modalities I was talking about earlier. This is a Chinese modality from the Taoists use this as a way to try to control the Kundalini, to try to, hijack its authority and to make, their authority the law of the inner land. And there's an author out there that he writes various books about this, and okay, you don't have sex, and you preserve the sacred fluids, and then you want to do the cool draw up the spine and into the no, none of that is appropriate. You've got to first of all disconnect your ego from actively doing something except surrendering to Kundalini. You surrender to this force. You surrender to it. The more you try to insert your egotistic will upon the Kundalini, the less anything will happen. And if it does happen, it'll often be a very, very negative thing. So you really need to recognize the divine consciousness within the sacred fluid preservation. It's called genital fluidic ascendance, GFA for short. And the body in both genders has a series of pumps that science has not recognized yet. And these pumps, the Kundalini will stimulate these pumps, and these pumps will pull the sacred fluid into the various areas that the body wants it to go, or the Shakti wants it to go. And you don't do anything, but you just allow that sacred pumping to take place. And typically the pumping kind of feels like this sound I'm going to make right here. It's a very fast pump. And for a man, you'll feel it taking it from the testicles, going up the vas deferens, going through the prostate, and then into the spinal cord. This is the Shakti that is pulling this up. It is not the person's ego saying, well, what do I have to do to get it up to the crown? Well, you're not going to do anything to get it up to the crown, and the crown is not necessarily where it needs to go. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Now, these are all from the groups, what's going to follow. I have too much energy rushed to my head region, unable to focus on work and daily activities. What remedies, please?
That's a grounding issue. This person isn't grounded. And they're doing practices like pranayama, like maybe way too much pranayama to bring up levels of Kundalini energy into their system. Let's have a look here. Yeah, they're doing definite techniques to pull it up, but they're not doing anything to ground themselves into the earth. And so in a way, they're like a tumbleweed. So the tumbleweed, if anybody, in the desert of the Southwest California and Nevada and Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, tumbleweeds are these about a 3-foot diameter round plant that when it reaches a certain age, the wind will blow it from its grounding point, and they literally are like balls of a skeletal plant that are being pushed by the wind across the landscape. You've seen them, right, Santara, when we were traveling there?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, they're quite amazing.
Yeah. And so the person becomes a tumbleweed because they don't have the ground, they don't have the root section that they need to stabilize themselves within the wind of the tremendous energy of Kundalini. And so they're just kind of getting pushed this way, that. And this person needs to do some grounding exercises, needs to get out and do some hard work, needs to maybe meditate next to a plant, or not a plant, but a big tree, something that is, the roots go deep, and to kind of let those roots become your roots, that type of a thing. It is an esoteric thing, except for some of the grounding techniques that are not so esoteric. Go out and have sex. Go out and have a big steak or some sort of a carnivorous food. Go out and have some carrots or some turnips or some potatoes or something of a root type of vegetable nature. As I said before, do some hard work, do some heavy exercise. I noticed with Matt would say, he'd do a lot of running, and that the running would help spread the energy throughout the system. Well, when you're running 8 or 9 miles a night, that's a lot of exercise. And blessings to Matt for being able to do that. He was doing other things too that he didn't mention, that I won't mention, that were extreme in the levels of abilities that a human being can do. Okay, but one of those things was running 8 or 9 miles at night, ladies and gentlemen, in Florida. And the pythons, the alligators, whatever else is out there in Florida. So this person needs to do something of that nature. And I think they're of an Indian descent. So they're not going to, if they're following the vegetarian thing, they're going to have a hard time with the meat thing. And so I'd suggest, the heavy levels of exercise and the synergistic with the tree, the sex. Sex can be very grounding. Things of that nature. Over.
Chrism, I love the tumbleweed analogy. Actually, it's great. Okay, so I have. Can we do some mantra chanting during the Kundalini process? Is it safe, or can it lead to an increase in the flow of energy?
Well, of course it's safe. It's actually a way to nurture it. But part of that nurturing is it may increase the energy. I mean, so what? Is this person afraid of the energy increasing? That's the question to really ask. And if you're afraid of an increase in energy, why? Why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of moving from a tricycle to a scooter? Why are you afraid of moving from crawling on your knees to walking on your feet?
Yeah.
That's the question to ask. Mantras are excellent supports and nutritious elements of activity for a Kundalini activation before a spinal sweep and for the awakening after the spinal sweep. Absolutely. Do them, but make sure you get a good one. Make sure you get one that is only for you. Make sure that you get it from a person who has the ability to give one in an effective fashion.
Thank you, Chrism. And there's another question about energy. The energy is stuck near the root. This is causing me madness. I've never been this horny or felt this unbalanced in forever. Advice, please.
Can you explain to me what horny means?
No. I would if I thought you didn't know.
Libidinous, I think, is the word. Libidinous.
Yes.
Read the question again.
So the energy is stuck near the root. This is causing me madness. I've never been this horny.
I remember this.
Okay.
I remember this. This person is calling the energy stuck at the root. This person doesn't realize that this is what Kundalini feels like. It's not stuck. That's exactly how that's how you're going to feel. And if it drives you mad, well, then you need to do some of those grounding exercises, which may increase the energy, which may bring it up to the second, third, fourth, fifth chakra. And don't, believe me, even though I just said it really, I rattled it off really fast right now, second, third, fourth, fifth chakra. Typically, it doesn't move that fast unless you're bracing for a sweep. A sweep will move it even faster than that. But for the most part, there's a lot of work that needs to be done at the activation stage, which drives you towards a sweep. So this person needs to do the grounding work. This person needs to stop thinking that they know if the energy is stuck or not. They obviously don't know. And so you embrace what the Kundalini is bringing you. You embrace that libidinous. You know, you keep fluids available even though your ego wants to have sex at every opportunity. See, that's one of the tests of the Kundalini. This is where the abstaining from sex really began, was with the Kundalini in some of the ancient cultures, and then the Hindu and the Christian and some of the other modalities, religious modalities, kind of co-opted that teaching in an incorrect fashion, and instead of controlling it, but allowing the sacred fluid to be consumed by the active Kundalini, they decided just to cut it off completely, and which is a mistake. Because sometimes the Kundalini wants the man to ejaculate or the woman to reach orgasm and ejaculate. You know, this is part of the promise. This is part of the process also that the Kundalini will give, and it's the job of the individual is to surrender to those instructions, not to surrender to some priest who's never had, and that wouldn't be right, but not to surrender to some human person that's never had a glimpse of Kundalini in their life, but they wrote some treatise on celibacy. No, listen to your Kundalini and your Kundalini only, and if your Kundalini has given you a flesh teacher, then you listen to that flesh teacher. Because that flesh teacher will have the Kundalini, will typically have had the experiences that you're describing, like I have. Believe me, I know all about that libidinous state and what it's actually being used for, which is transformation. That's why it's the creative fluids that are being used. Quote unquote, creative fluids equals transformation, equals going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, equals going through a spiritual transformation evolution. So this person needs to really begin to understand that, and I give them a welcome to the world of Kundalini, and now surrender to it and stop trying to control it and stop complaining about it making you, really sexual, because that's the way it's going to be for a while. And I will suggest that you keep that pool of sacred fluids as open to the Shakti as you possibly can. If she gives you clearance to ejaculate, then you go ahead and do that too. It's a renewable resource, at least for a time. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Okay, next question, It's about 3 a.m. now, and I woke up suddenly, not wanting to waste time, and started meditation after thanking Kundalini. It's cold outside, but in spite of this, I could feel a warm wave of air from my chest to my face. Initially, I thought it was my breath out that was causing that warm air, but soon realized it's not the warmth coming out of my outgoing breath. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that would be the sacred masculine heat. First of all, they're awake. They're awakened at the golden hour, the 3 o'clock hour, 3 o'clock a.m. And that is significant in and of itself. So when the Kundalini wakes you up at the 3 a.m. hour, well, she's got something in mind for you to experience at that time. And this is typical. Now, with the heat that's coming up, the heat is of the sacred male, which I have pretty much 24/7 all the time. And this is a good thing. This is a positive experience. This is nothing to be afraid of. And because it's so unusual, the person, kind of gets a little intimidated by it and maybe goes into a little bit more fear with it than they need to. But no, this is all normal. It's perfectly normal. And what I would suggest you do is to go into an extreme level of gratitude to the sacred feminine Shakti Kundalini and give that gratitude in a way that supports her agenda for you by surrendering to her. Over.
Thank you, Chris. And what's wonderful about it too is that, it's cold outside and this heat is there. So it's a real communication too, isn't it, of the Kundalini presence, with you.
I was talking with Rosemary and Joey just the other day about how hot I am all the time and how, I go out and I go naked into a blizzard. And I go, typically 3 a.m., I would go naked out into the blizzards and just rejoice at the coldness of it all. And I was complaining to them that Minnesota never has any really, snowy weather. It's all just some sort of a tourist scam. And
it's not going to be snowy either in October, is it, Chrism, for the next conference?
No, it'll all be. It's a beautiful state, though. I mean, God, Minnesota's a really pretty place to go, and I suggest anybody that wants to vacation on Lake Tinnewaca or whatever they're called, it's a very beautiful area. Very beautiful. Very much the, the. Well, there's a lot of history there with the Indians. It's a very holy land, but it's also a very, camping, outdoorsy type of oriented state. And they have those really great apples there that they devised right there. The Honey Crisp apple, I think, is what Minnesota is famous for. And speaking of Minnesota, I'm just going to go right over to these ladies right now.
Chrism?
Yes.
Could I play that Awakening seminar as an introduction to, the ad as an introduction to Rosemary coming on?
Oh, sure.
Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, let's see. Does it work?
Yes. Turn it up. You got to turn it up. Start it again. Turn it up.
Oh, darn. No, Chrism, I'll have it for next week set up properly because it would be interesting to see how it sounds just with the audio,
Go ahead,
maybe I'll try while you... Yeah, I'll turn it off now.
All right, and I'm going to welcome Rosemary and Joey to the program. Hello, Rosemary and Joey.
Hello. Hi.
And hello, Joey.
Hi, you got us both on?
I got you both on, and I was wondering if either of you had any announcements to make.
I'm pointing on the message I sent you to see if that ad can play loud on my computer.
Give it a shot.
Yes.
Coming to Mankato's Kundalini Awakening Seminar.
No. Turn off. Turn off.
Yeah.
At the American House.
Turn it off. I'm going to turn it off here. There we go. All right. Hi, Joey.
Hi.
Rosemary's still figuring out how to turn that off. What do you think of it?
I like it. I would like it a little less loud. I think it blasts you, but
it does. It'll wake people up.
I wish we had time to put some of your music behind it, but I think it's more important to get it out.
I wonder if we can do that at another opportunity to kind of redo some of that,
Mhm.
Just to bring everybody up to date now. I've been putting on these seminars in Minnesota for about 5 years, I think. Is that right, Rosemary? About 5 years?
Can you hear me?
Is that right, Rosemary? About 5 years?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
had turned it off, so I thought you didn't hear me. Yes.
I turned it
well,
off because you weren't able to turn off the commercial.
Yes, I was turning it off. Thank you. The first one that I was in 11, so that's 6 years ago, and then I asked you to come back, and that was 14. So on my watch, it's 3 years.
We've got a bit of a history of doing these seminars in the Minnesota Twin Cities area, and Katie and Rosemary and Joey and I got together and decided that maybe a television commercial might bring this opportunity to more ears and eyes, and so that was that was done, and so I really want to say, first of all, thank you to Katie and Rosemary and Joey for putting that together. And so we've been given 2 options, but I'm just going to go with the first option. To me, it sounds kind of like a used car commercial, but I'm very, very, very picky when it comes to these types of things, and we'll just have to go with it now. We've already paid for 2 months. We'll only get a month and a half out of it because of hemming and hawing over it. But, we'll play it next week so everybody can hear it. And I don't know if you guys can hear it. I can probably play it right now. I think mine will go loud enough. Here it is. Let me crank it up. Second.
Hello?
Oh, just hang on.
Oh, what are you doing? It's gone very quiet. I was off there.
Yeah.
Guys?
Yeah, it's okay, Santara, don't worry. Well, yeah,
Oh, okay.
we're having technical difficulties here, so.
Okay.
While
you're doing that, I think I have it. I checked with Indra, and she said she can hear it.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. Well, we'll still play it next week. Rosemary, do you have an announcement you'd like to make?
I do. From all of that wonderful invitation to everyone, please come be with us October 28th and 29th. That's about 6 weeks, a little more than 6 weeks from now. We'll be in Mankato, and the seminar is 9 to 5, and that's the American Inn Hotel and Conference Center. That's
and where is Mankato again?
Mankato is an hour and 15 minutes or so south of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and it's a little west of Rochester, and there's been a lot of interest in Mankato in the last couple of years, and yes.
Right. Okay.
And
so go ahead and
yes,
give us the commercial once again, my dear.
Yes. My information is rosemarygg@usinternet.com, 952-303-6438, and I can give you those details. And again, we have rooms at the American Inn Hotel and Conference Center in Mankato, and 9 to 5, October 28, 29. Looking forward to, we do have some people that are intending to come that are from out of the state and maybe even out of the country. So we're looking forward to an amazing 2 days. And the week before, if anyone from out of town wants to come, that works, because Chrism will be here from Monday on, and we're scheduling him to speak Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before the seminar. So that's part of the blessings of being here. And with
I would love to have any of the seminar attendees come to any of these talks, because they're always different. They're always different. They're always streaming the Shakti, and she has something different to say to each group. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you very much, my dear.
Thank you.
Okay. And coming back to Santara here. Okay, do we have more questions?
Yes, we do, Chrism. So here we go. Okay. So, hi, I'm new on this group and I was wondering how you deal with your spiritual life and the ordinary day-to-day life. I feel like I have one foot in both worlds and that can be messy sometimes. This is a big issue for me.
Well, it
The
can be
spiritual
messy.
year 2017, far away from meditation all day and having a guru to support you. I'm not too sure what that means, but anyway.
Okay, so that is one of the main reasons why I work doing what I do, is because we're going to have Kundalini and we're going to have it inside the Western societies. The Western societies are pretty much geared to obeying the ego and programming people with specific levels of want of gain or fear of loss in order to drive them into levels of productivity. And when you have the Kundalini, and I'll reference Matthew Collins again. He's a college professor. He's doing all this work, and yet he's got one foot in heaven and one foot on the earth all the time. And you can do this. You just have to stop seeing it your way all the time. You see, we've been conditioned to obey our own sense of self-purpose and self-worth and self-validation, which is kind of based on the whole pain or pleasure model. And we've been programmed to do this. And when the Kundalini comes along, well, she says, well, no, there's a different program now. This is a different program. And so you've got to take her program. You've got to take her program over your ego program, over your egotistic expectations and over your egotistic fears and your egotistic wants and all of these things. And that's not always the easiest thing, because it's not dealing with just money, it's dealing with time. You've got to put time into the Kunalini. You've got to give her sway over your physical system, mental system, emotional system, spiritual system, and egotistic system. You've got to give her control over your life and ask her if she'll let you have an 8-hour workday and then you give the rest of the time to her. You don't get to do life the way you have been doing life. You've got to make the change. You've got to make the change. And until you do, you're going to struggle with this. You're going to struggle with it. And I want to really push this understanding of surrender, because, even with what I started out this conversation with, the many different modalities, well, that applies to work too. Work is also a spiritual modality. And as you work and you adjudicate your time in a certain way and you organize your day in a certain way, the Kundalini is going to come along and start changing it up, and you're going to have to go with that flow. Or you're going to have to make a deal with her. One of the things is when people have kriyas, you can't really go into a pretzel yogic position kriya while you're having a meeting with the chairman of the board. It's not going to work well. It's not going to go well. You'll get fired, probably. And so you talk to the Kundalini before that meeting, and you say, look, I know and I respect these kriyas that you're giving me, and I want to surrender to you completely. However, I have this meeting coming up. Can we postpone the kriyas until at least after the meeting is done? And she will typically do that for you. I know that sounds odd. But it's true. It works over and over and over and over and over. I've seen it. I've seen it occur this way. So this is what this person may want to consider when she's got one foot in heaven and one foot on this world. It's the heavenly foot that holds sway over the earthly foot. The heavenly foot is changing the earthly foot to ground itself stronger within its physical form, but the grace that's flowing through it. The heavenly foot can take a much, much greater level of activity within the human body. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. That's true. That was true for me actually about the Kriyas, you know. It was always when John was on nights that the Kriyas would be, you know, really, really strong and like night after night while he was on duty for that week. Or if I was in my own in the house, you know, during the day, the front door would close and bam, you know, and they would begin. Or she'd get me up during the night when everybody was sleeping, and I think it was as you say, you know, if you make the changes, if you don't make them, you struggle. You really do, don't you? You have to make the changes.
You have to make the change. You cannot resist it. You cannot expect your old programming to be the dominant programming anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is from another new member, Chrism, and she says, I've been going through a lot lately and I still can't work out if I'm having a Kundalini awakening. I've had vivid dreams and really bad sleep with increased levels of anxiety. What are other people's experiences? Do you have any tips on how to manage these symptoms?
What makes you think she's got Kundalini? What did she say that?
No, she says she can't work out if she's having it yet. She's on the Kundalini Awakening group. She says, I'm having vivid dreams, bad sleep, increased levels of anxiety.
A lot of different levels of causation can bring a person to levels of anxiety and sleeplessness. You know, It doesn't have to be the Kundalini. But if it is the Kundalini, and she's new to it, I'd tell her to stop drinking any and all caffeine. Stop consuming any and all artificial sweeteners or spices, sugars. I would counsel her to make her food very, very bland. Oatmeal without the honey, that type of thing. Very, very bland food. So that you take out any of the society-based stimulants and sugar cravings that would cause a person to have anxiety in the nighttime. And then, of course, to keep herself hydrated and to keep the tongue tip behind the upper front teeth and to basically, take out of her equation the complaining and whining because things aren't going the way she's used to having them go. If you know that you're in the Kundalini, well, then there's no more room for complaints. And I know it sounds hard and harsh.
No, I actually, you know what? You say that a lot. You mentioned it again earlier there in the show, and I laughed because it's so true. The complaining and again and the whining and the complaining. You used to say that to me a lot. Stop with your complaining, and it's true. We complain and really, it's pointless and it just pulls you into its resistance anyway, But I don't think it's strange. I think it needs to be said, Chrism. And you've said it a couple of times tonight, and it's good. It makes me smile because I relate to it, And when I hear you saying complaining, it's like a mirror, and you can look at it and you can say, God, I really am. I'm complaining and whining and I must stop. So, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to come to grips with it because Kunalini's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And the stronger it gets, and if you're still resisting and whining and complaining, it's not going to go better for you.
No.
The whining and the complaining are just as you said it. It's a form of egotistic resistance. I want it my way. I want it the way it was. I don't want to have to go through all this change, is what she's really saying.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't get to have it your way. You have to go through the change. It's the butterfly resisting leaving the cocoon. What it is.
But it can take us a little while, can't it, to come to know that, and it can take a while maybe of hearing that message repeated, perhaps
over
before
and over,
ding.
Over.
Yeah. The next question, Chrism, is about subconscious blockage cleaning or cleansing. It says, are there any side effects of subconscious blockage cleansing? A month ago, a close friend of mine who is a spiritual herbalist told me that I need to clear my subconscious blockages. Following this, I got several signs from the universe to pursue the cleaning. In 2 days, the universe led me to subliminal and...
You can stop. You can stop there.
Thank you.
The herbalist doesn't really know what they're talking about. That's just kind of a catchphrase. It's like, well, my grasshopper, it is in the greatest belief that you must clear your subconscious blockages in order to pursue a further evolution. It's bullshit. Sorry. If the person's going to say subconscious blockages, they better get right down to the point and zero in on where and how and what that subconscious blockage is. If they're going to tell somebody that they have to clear subconscious blockages, that's like saying to a farmer, well, you're going to have to harvest that wheat. Farmer knows this, but I'm having an alkaline problem on the soil back there. Well, you're still going to have to harvest the wheat. It's not helping the situation. All it's doing is giving some sort of a self-inflicted validation for the person that's in this case, the herbalist, to kind of expand their ego at the expense of somebody else. So what I tell this person is, don't believe everything that you hear. Just because they're an herbalist doesn't give them any authority in predicting or giving you information about your subconscious blockages. No, don't believe it and don't buy into it. And I forget, what was his symptoms at the beginning?
Well, he didn't say, but he said within a week he was very much emotionally unstable, anxiety, emotional traumatic incidences. Normal. This is after.
That's normal.
Sorry?
With the Kundalini. Emotional instability is normal with the Kundalini, especially when you're dealing with the emotional body, the heart chakra. So that's normal. Nothing's wrong with that. There's no blockage to that, especially if the person is exhibiting extreme levels of emotional expression. That's normal. That is training a body to receive the blissful natures. These levels of anxiety and strong levels of emotionalism. These are the areas that really become exercised towards being able to handle and hold extreme levels of bliss. But in order for that to occur, the current poles of the human emotional natures will need to expand. So if a pole is like, if you're going from 1 to 10, 1 being, a certain level of emotional and 10 being the other, and that's your whole frequency spectrum right there. Well, you're going to need to go from maybe negative 100,000 to positive 100,000. And in order to do that, you have to experience the enlarging frequency spectrum. You've got to feel what it is to have a negative 100,000 and a positive 100,000. You've got to experience it, to have reference points for it. And the Kundalini will fill in many of the other spaces. And if you're surrendered enough, you will accept that teaching, that filling in, that downloading of emotional information. And then lo and behold, she'll come along with a level of bliss, and that whole frequency range will light up. And you'll be able to have it and hold it because of this work that she's been doing with you in the early stages. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Okay, so I've read that one. Give me 2 seconds. I'm scrolling. Okay, I am terribly self-concentrated. Any advice?
Oh, let that occur. I mean, we need to get really, really, really introspective in order to understand what's happening to us. We need to be able to go within. And this is kind of one of the methods. You know, you become very, very, very self-focused. You know, how am I doing? What do I need to self-correct? How do I need to go into these deeper areas to look at some of the blockages that I may have? Am I overly body consciousness? So does that mean I'm not able to go naked in nature? Or am I overly condemnative of other people because I have a fear of being condemned myself? You know, where are these levels within myself that I need to self-correct? And so you must become very, very focused on what's going on inside of you. Whereas everybody else is kind of going, oh, well, you should socialize with other people. Or you should really just, you know, go out into the population. No. We're taught not that it's conceited, that it's egotistical if we focus on ourselves and we work on ourselves in these ways. And I'm saying, no, you're being given that instruction for a very good reason. For a very good reason. So you can learn about yourself and you can learn what you need to do in order to increase your levels of surrender to the grace that is flowing through you. And as you surrender more, so does the grace spread more. And as the grace spreads more, well, there's more to surrender. Over.
Question is, what are the methods of preparing the 5 bodies?
Well, we talked about one method right there, going inside yourself, grounding yourself, being active in your exercise, not being a couch potato is very, very important. Listening to your dreams and not following, you know, the contemporary dream guidances, because, you know, the Kundalini dream interpretations are very, very different from the mundane dream interpretations. Trusting the Kundalini within you and giving her the authority to change your life and to control your life in the various ways that she will. Surrendering, I think I've mentioned already. But these are some of the larger concerns that will help manage the transformation of the 5 bodies of human expression. Over.
Thank you. What is Kundalini fear?
What are Kundalini fears?
What is Kundalini fear?
Oh, I forget what I wrote to that.
And then the person said, is it when I get scared of what's going to happen next? And you actually said, like you said, and I usually don't copy it, but I did it. It says, you said, this isn't a fear provided by Kundalini. This is the fear provided by the ego. And its need to be able to organize and catalog and be prepared for whatever comes next.
Oh, very true. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay. Okay. I'm just wondering, am I actually finished? I can't be. 1 second now. Let me just. Okay, so the next one is, I keep having dreams about myself being ill, health-wise. Is this normal, or is it something is actually wrong? Can't tell if I'm activated or not. I'm new to this.
I responded to that one too.
I happened to hear Chrism.
Well, I'll find it. It's you know, the dream life isn't always, as I mentioned before in the last answer. It's not to be looked at in a way that would follow the contemporary type of scenario with it. It's not always a warning of impending illness, like this person may feel. I've had dreams where I'm flying on a Pegasus and I fall off the Pegasus 1,000 feet in the air, and I'm supposed to die when I hit the ground. Well, I hit the ground and I just stand up. So it's not really truth, that what you hear in the mundane life, it's not really true what you think of that type of thing. And who asked this question? Do you know?
No, I can't remember, Chrism. I don't take that down. Let me just look at the words again. I don't know. I think it's a new person, but I can't say for sure, Chrism.
Well, so that's not terribly
I'll
helpful.
have a look at it, and if there's, if there's more information, I will bring it back next week. Okay.
All right. And here's the other thing. You know, when I'm answering these questions on the groups, it's the Shakti that's answering these questions, and so I am not allowed a memory engram typically to occur. And so when you ask me these questions, I think you're assuming that I remember everything that I said.
No, I'm not. Ever. I know you long enough to know that's not true.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know that I could give a better answer than what was already given. Yeah. So I'm going to suggest that you better start copying these answers, because, you know, sometimes I'm not going to just like try to walk all over what Shakti has already given as an answer.
Yeah, well, if I may, Chrism, can you say that? Because like you just did, because I find for the most part you answer the questions. They're not always the same when you give an answer on the air. Sometimes they are. And is that not the Kundalini answering here? You know, again, I don't think you're...
aspect of it, but I just as soon let the answer that was given initially stand, instead of expanding on it.
Okay, so what do you want me to do? To take the answer in case you want to reference it? Okay,
and then if I need to reference it, then I will.
Sure thing, I'll do that.
Especially with this type of a thing here, with this type of a situation. First of all, I don't think this person is activated, number one. And second of all, having dreams while you're of being ill doesn't necessarily state that a person's going to be ill. And yet, at the same time, it can. Sometimes it is a precognitive dream. And so I want to know what the Shakti answered earlier, so that I can compare to what I'm getting right now. And you know, I don't. Funny this came up because I had a feeling before the show that this was going to come up, and here we are.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I will do that for next week.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm good for terminating the show at this time, and I want to thank Matthew Collins for his appearance on the program. I'd like to thank Indra and Joey and Rosemary and, of course, Santara. Do you have any last words, Santara?
No, Chrism, no.
All right, then. I want to thank everybody who is currently on the groups right now and those who might want to come into the groups. If you're on Facebook, Kundalini Awakening with an exclamation point after that is one of the groups. We also have Kundalini Awakening or Kundalini Healing on Facebook, and we have Kundalini Awakening Systems 2 and 3, and we also have a group called Kundalini People. On the Yahoo network, we have Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 and Kundalini Healing, Kundalini Virgins, Kundalini Tantra, and Kundalini the Holy Fire of Christ on that network. We also have Kundalini Awakening exclamation point on the Google social network, Google Plus. And then on YouTube, if you just put in the search window, Chrism.Kundalini, then about a little over 300 videos will come up for the person there. I'd like to remind everybody that we are having a seminar the last weekend of October. And you can call Rosemary at area code 952-303-6438. And I want to thank everybody who's listening in the archives, the future people, everybody who's listening right now on the Facebook group that Santara was kind enough to put a connecting emblem up there so they can listen live on the Kundalini Awakening exclamation point group. So many thanks to you, Centaur, for that. And everybody, I will go ahead and end this the way we started this. And here we go.